And now Bob Conway is going to
Welcome again. Ted has brought us together once more. Now, like Ted, I've been visiting with Sherry about what I should say about Ted, and she came up with a wonderful way to tell Ted's story. First, in Ted's words. For Ted's words, I'll read his obit because Ted, of course, had already written it. You would expect Ted to do that. Classic Ted. Then in Sherry's words, Sherry put her thoughts together, and thank you, Marilyn Paul, for helping her do that this last week. And finally, a few reflections about Ted from me. So here are Ted's words. Ted was born October 14, 1937 in Des Moines, Iowa, to Henry J. Lussem and Gertrude Bykowski Lussem. With the exception of a 6-year period in the 1960s when he lived in Springfield, Illinois and Grand Rapids, Michigan, Ted was a lifelong resident of the Des Moines area. He grew up on the east side and was a graduate of East High School. For more than 60 years, Ted worked in the insurance business, starting with Crum & Forrester Group in 1955, then Hawkeye Security in 1957, and finally, what was to become Brooks Lussem Insurance in 1968. His civic involvement included trustee and past chairman of Raw Lawns Medical Center, citizen member of the Des Moines Police and Fire Pension Board, member of the City of Des Moines Riverfront Improvement Commission, charter member of the Pioneer Sons and Daughters Genealogical Society and their treasurer, charter member and treasurer of the Des Moines Historical Society, board member of the Iowa Genealogical Society. He'd been president of the East Des Moines Club, and he was a recipient of the 1994 Better Business Bureau's Excellence Award. He also served over 10 years on the Lutheran Hospital Patients Advisory Committee. In the insurance industry, Ted was a chartered property casualty underwriter, a CPCU. He had been president of the Independent Insurance Agents of Des Moines twice and was their educational chairman, their treasurer for many years. Ted was also a member of the past president of the Iowa chapter of CPCU and their historian. The best role for Ted. Ted was also a member he was a member of the Insurance Association of Greater Des Moines and received their CPIM designation in 2005. In addition, he taught insurance classes both at Drake and DMAC for several insurance organizations. In 1993, he was the author of a historical monograph titled The Independent Insurance Agent in Des Moines, and in 2006, authored the 100th anniversary book on the independent insurance agents in Iowa. Ted was treasurer of the Firemark Circle of Americas and treasurer of the Iowa Insurance Hall of Fame organization. In 1998, the Iowa chapter of CPCU named an annual scholarship, the Theodore Ted Lussem Scholarship. In 1999, he was named a standard setter by the National CPCU Society, and in 2000 was inducted into the Iowa Insurance Hall of Fame. In 2009, the National CPCU Society honored him with the CPCU Excellence Award. Ted is survived by his wife of 63 years, Sherry Lussem, his nieces and nephews. He was preceded in death by his parents, Henry J. and Gertrude Lussem, his sister Therese in 1954, his brother Henry Jr. in 2010. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Iowa Genealogical Society Building Fund. Those were Ted's words, but Ted's contribution to our world was much more than the obituary that I just read. Ted was a storyteller, we all know that. And everyone that knew him has a story to tell about him. Here's Sherry's story. And this is a quote. I've included some more of my thoughts that Bob is going to read. First of all, I want to thank each of you for coming and paying respects to my Ted. Being married 63 years to a man who had a type A personality, so smart, a consistent doer and achiever was not always easy, but all of you know that I love that man more than anything in this world, and then some more. In our early days of being married, Ted started studying for many institute designations. He got all of those and then tackled the CPCU designation. Insurance was in his blood. Ted's dad, Henry Sr., worked for Sun Insurance for over 50 years. His brother, Henry Jr., worked for an insurance company, then purchased his own agency. So at family get-togethers, insurance of some sort was always talked about. It got to the point where the word insurance was like hearing a dirty word. Ted and I survived 2.5 years in Springfield, Illinois. There's got to be a story there, Sherry. Then Ted was transferred to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We loved Grand Rapids and spent almost 5 years there. The opportunity to buy the Chuck Brooks agency was something Ted always wanted to do, own an insurance agency. So back to Des Moines we moved in July of 1968. Life was so good to us. Ted and I got to do some wonderful trips thanks to the insurance company, trips to the Bahamas, Hawaii, Mexico, many cities in Europe. Ted worked his butt off getting the agency qualified so we could take those wonderful trips. We made some lifetime friends, and both of us were thrilled to be on the trips. Ted never, ever put on his shirt in the morning without finishing with his pen, his business cards, and a little notepad. We did not go anywhere. Weddings, funerals, get-togethers with family or friends, and Ted did not have all of this in his pocket. I used to give him a really bad time because I wanted to know if he was going to take it to bed with him, and Ted's answer was, "You never know, someone might need insurance." Each year, the Iowa CPCU chapter would hold a one-day event called I-Day. This involved out-of-town guests and speakers, including the national president of CPCU. Ted would arrange for the CPCU president to make insurance company visits. It's no surprise that Ted scheduled the stops, got everyone there on time, and made new friends for life. You didn't want to be late with Ted. The past CPCU presidents all remember their trip to Iowa and their day in Teddy's taxi. Marvin Kelly, CPCU MBA, presented a plaque of excellence to Ted during the CPCU 2009 annual meeting. Mr. Kelly said, quote, "During my presidential year, I've had a chance to meet so many terrific members with inspiring CPCU life stories. Among the brightest of these shining lights is the man we're about to honor, Ted Lussem," unquote. Ted was a collector of insurance memorabilia for many years. He had a massive collection of insurance history that ended up in 2 rooms from floor to ceiling in our basement. The Iowa Historical Society displayed some of his items in 2000. Ted used his knowledge when serving for many years on the Iowa Insurance Licensing Committee. He helped write and validate questions that appear on the Iowa Insurance Licensing exam. So any of you that are agents, you know who to blame. As a member of the Police and Fire Pension Board, thank you for being here, Ted became friends with many police officers and chiefs. He found permanent funding for recognition programs sponsored by the Des Moines Police Department. Once you were Ted's friend, you were a friend forever. He always wanted to help whenever he could. For example, Ted was a regular blood donor. Did you know that he gave over 50 gallons of blood over his lifetime? 50 gallons, it's enough to, I think it's like 32 people complete. It's just an amazing thing. If you were in the hospital, Ted would appear. He was fiercely devoted to friends in their times of need. If you needed something picked up or delivered, Teddy's taxi was at your service. If the Genealogical Society needed help, Ted was there. Along with direct financial support, he donated countless hours there. He maintained the money-making pop machine, filling up their garage with cans before they went back. Taking out their garbage and bringing it home to save them that expense, and promoting the organization. That's why he left. That's why he asked that legacy donations go there. If you had a history question about Polk County, Des Moines, or an old insurance company, just call Ted. Anyone who knew Ted was quickly aware of how much history this man knew. So those are the things about Ted that Sherry wanted to be said. While talking to her last week, she made it clear that in her words, "I just love this man more than anything else in the world, and then some more." And now a few personal reflections for me about Ted. I knew Ted for 30 years. He was a friend, a mentor, and a role model. I love this guy. He was a blend of a big brother and a second father to me. Ted was always on the move and accomplished so much every single day of his life. He squeezed 2 lifetimes into 1 lifetime. This would not have been possible without the love and support he received from Sherry. Sherry, thank you for helping making Ted the man that we knew and respected. So much has already been said about his caring for others, but here's some examples that I witnessed. And by the way, my pages are numbered. That was what Ted would teach me to do. In case it's locked in, I have to make sure everything's organized. I'll get shorted. A new CPCU in Ottumwa, Iowa, that's about 100 miles from here, was disappointed by the lack of response from his employer upon completing the CPCU. Ted found out about this and he organized a luncheon with this person along with a few CPCUs in Ottumwa. I rode in Teddy's taxi down there. We went in the thunderstorm, a snowstorm actually, but Ted made sure that we recognized this person's accomplishment. And then he went on to find him a new job, a really good job. Ted did this for many people. He was LinkedIn before the internet even existed. Ted connect people. That was one of his strengths. Ted was promoting diversity before diversity was a thing. For example, he worked hard to get diversity on the CPCU board, people with backgrounds in carriers or agencies, young or old, male or female. Ted was the only male member of the Iowa Insurance Association of Greater Des Moines, and he helped many in that group succeed in their careers. I had a serious health issue 4 years ago, and I spent over 100 days in the hospital. I'm very blessed to be here. Ted would often call and visit. He always found time for his friends. Ted was humble about his knowledge. That's saying a lot because he knew a lot. He was a great role model. I was on some of the same boards as Ted, CPCU, the Insurance Hall of Fame, and the Licensing Committee. I spent many hours with him over the last 30 years. As I reflect on those times, I cannot recall a single incident of him denigrating or criticizing anyone. Never, not once, not Ted. And what a great legacy that is to be able to say about somebody. It's wonderful. I work for the Iowa Fair Plan Association. For those of you not in insurance, that would be the non-family members, I think. The plan is a market of last resort for property insurance created by the state of Iowa, supported by assessments on the insurance carriers. Ted was an honorary part of the plan team. He joined us on all special occasions and celebrations. We have dedicated our conference room to Ted, now called the Theodore Ted Lussem Conference Room. We will display as many accomplishments in there. This room is available for outside groups or to anyone that wants to see this display. Take us about 3 weeks to have things rematted and formatted and that, but we're certainly welcome to come and think of Ted as you do that. In conclusion, my faith demands that I accept that Ted is in a better place. He is no longer in pain and facing difficult healthcare decisions, but I will miss him, as I know all of you will too. We're all blessed to have known him. Rest in peace, my friend. And know you will be fondly remembered.
Bob, thank you for that wonderful, wonderful tribute. There's a song we're going to listen to now called Walk Softly.